Happy New Year and welcome to episode 8 of Slogging It. Hope all are well. Hope you all had a lovely festive period, as quiet as it was for everybody. We are a couple of weeks late, as you will have seen through our social media channels, but luckily to say, Eugene Berger is back and fighting fit with us. Great to see you, Huge. How, after a tough couple of weeks, how are you feeling, bud?
I'm okay, thanks, Jono. Yeah, happy to be back and get the mind back on the podcast instead of moping around. I think is probably best described. Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you, mate, and good to know that you're feeling better. Robbo, on the other hand, still, just being Robbo, I guess.
Yeah, same. I got attacked by the dog, though. I don't know if you can see this. If you're listening on an audio type file, this is going to mean just less than jack shit to you. But just on my right eye, I have a small wound. Which apparently I was playing inappropriate games with the dog. That sounds horrific.
Yes, it does.
But I was wrestling with said dog, and I got it to stand up on its back legs, and I was hand fighting with it, and it beat me.
Right.
In my face.
That's probably about as much pain was inflicted by either Mike Tyson or that other useless old git he was fighting when they did the show pony match.
Roy Jones.
Boost their bank accounts of the week, where they just kind of stood and looked at each other.
Well, there was a no knockout agreement.
Yes. If blood's drawn, the fight's off. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm really glad. Like Toby Tarrant was going nuts funny about having paid 30 quid for it and then realised
hang on
pour at each other.
They weren't shy in announcing the fact that it was a no knockout, no blood, no head punches. Yeah. Fundamentally not a boxing match.
A day before the fight.
If you're stupid enough, yes, Toby, I'm doing this. If you're stupid enough to pay £30 for that, then I'm sorry, but
just remember, our audience is about 500 people. Toby could be calling you out on Radio X tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, I know whose listenership is going to affect more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
If he calls it out to 2 million on there, absolutely sensational. Granted, I might turn my social media off if he does.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we want to say Happy New Year to our partners as well. Big Smoke Brewery, Woodstock Cricket, and of course the Lord's Taverners. So as you all know, and you may have forgotten over the Christmas break, so we will be reminding you right now, you can donate to the Lord's Taverners, and what a wonderful charity it is, offering all kids, no matter their circumstances, a sporting chance in life. You can text TABS11, TABS11 to 70331 to donate £3, and we would employ you to do that. Please make sure you are 16 or over and have the bill payer's permission. But please do. I know a lot of you have already, but you're doing some great things for the charity, so please continue to support as and where you can. This week we have Mark Adair, Irish all-rounder, currently in the UAE. So we're going to have we had a really good chat with him last night. So we look forward to playing that out for you a little later. But as always, Euge's dog has just walked into the room, say hello. We will cover off this week in cricket. Now, obviously, before we jump on these, we have a chat about what we're going to talk about. Well, this week, the three of us have had a row, and it was 2-on-1. But I'm the main host, so I'm taking a moral victory because I feel like I'm more in charge. But
a draw's a draw, Jono. That's what the cricket was, a draw, wasn't it?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Right, well, look, we'll come on to the draw in a minute because I think India did incredibly well, although the pitch looked pretty flat. But against that bowling attack, you would have expected India to lose there. However, three blokes in international cricket right now need to forever keep their noses clean. Steve Smith, you two obviously don't have much of a problem with it, and you can explain that in a minute. I think you're altering the state of the pitch. You two came up with some wank arguments for why you think that's not the case, but for someone, he's either a moron or he just can't help himself. I just think it's a really stupid thing to do when regardless of whether people could see his number or realise it was him or not. Come on, man. Learn your lesson. What are you doing?
So for the people that haven't watched it, talk us through it, John. Tell us what he did.
So you remember when Shahid Afridi kind of did a bit of a dance on a length a few years ago?
That was a length.
It wasn't quite
like that. It was nothing like that.
He's basically he scratched Rishabh Pant's guard away, hasn't he? So yeah, in theory, all Rishabh Pant had to do was remark his guard. But I just think, like, what's the point of doing it? Like, what are you going to achieve? You know, every Englishman and his dog is now going, Steve Smith's a twat, which he is, and it's just because I just think, if nothing else, it's moronic, and he wasn't going to gain anything through it, so he's just putting himself in the spotlight unnecessarily. It's just a pointless thing to do. I'm sorry, I just think it's shit. But you two you two don't have a problem with it, do you?
Well, I don't like. I think there's worse things that happens at sea. I mean, you've got a bloke behind the stumps who calls a batter a dickhead and then shells it, which is hilarious. And I don't think that needs any more glossing over as well, because we used to celebrate. People in world cricket used to celebrate Merv Hughes. People in cricket used to celebrate Andre Nell, who basically wanked a batter while they were running in. And that was laughed upon. Oh, it's Big Merv. Oh, it's Andre Nell. Mainly because there were two blokes that were 6'7", about 19.5 stone, and everyone was petrified of him.
Yeah.
But Steve Smith...
And Tim Payne is neither Andre Nell nor Merv Hughes, I should say that.
No, and calling him that, making it personal, is wrong. Is wrong. However, if he grabs that catch 2 balls later, I doubt there would be a single Australian that would have gone, worth it. Absolutely fine. Yeah, you beat him. Mental disintegration, as Steve Waugh called it. Like, I think he's an idiot for doing it. Tim Payne.
I don't mind that.
No, you can't, right? This is the thing. If people want to have a dip at Steve Smith hasn't done anything personal. He's not done anything
different.
That the other 40 people, or the 40 innings that have taken place on that pitch before, haven't scratched that bit of ground. And you know as well as I do, if you're a batter, your feet moving round between the ball have got more chance of moving the lines than Steve Smith strolling over it.
I agree, but it's not that. That's not the point. It's for me. It's the intent behind the act.
What's his intent?
His intent is to try and just screw the pitch up.
What's he going to do? Dig a hole so that his big toes.
Look, it's not. I think you're missing the point. If you call someone a dick,
get a shovel in.
Look, if you're going to get hammered. If you're going to get hammered like Tim Payne every time you call someone a dickhead on a cricket pitch, I'd have been banned for life a long while back.
Oh, right,
like, I've called people some horrific things on a cricket pitch because verbals happen, and they happen between one team to another and another, and that's part and parcel of the game. Competitive edge, mental disintegration, whatever you want to call it, that is a part of it.
No,
Steve Smith, that is not something that happens in every level of the game. Verbals is. That isn't. Look, have you ever done that? Have you ever walked up to a pit and just gone, "Oh, I'll have a bit of a scratch there"?
I do it all the time.
Yeah,
behave.
You're
both saying that to suit your own argument.
No.
Mate,
I'll give you an example.
Whether it's out the middle is very different.
No,
I've sat there, bowled a rank ball, got smashed with 4, and booted a chunk out the pitch. All right, because it's a fit of anger. I think
but that's different, isn't it?
Right, but the difference is. For me, with the two items. One, if you dickhead someone on the pitch, or C-bomb them, or make a personal remark to them, you have lost. It's like the first person that swears in a debate. You have lost.
So you're telling me I've just lost?
Well, no, but you've just lost you've lost it, haven't you? If you're going at someone in a way that is cricket, if you do like what Marnus Labuschagne was doing, and if that batter, if Vihari or whatever it was when he was saying, right, who's your favourite player? Is it this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. If he could have turned around and gone, fuck off, dickhead, he's lost. So Tim Payne had lost that argument. Steve Smith...
He wasn't getting a response.
But try and get the batter's mind away from going, who's done that? Who's done that? Why is it? All he's got to do is take guard. All he's got to do is take guard. Which, looking at him, he doesn't start every over anyway.
I just think, sorry for me, the 22 yards is sacred and that shouldn't happen. I just think that, say what you want to people, well, within reason.
So the next time your foot slips when you're bowling, you're not allowed to scrunch it. No, it's not. Because batsmen do it. Batsmen do it.
Look, there's a protected area. I know it wasn't in the protected area before you said anything.
I was going to say, you've just fooled your own argument there. It's
not like he's doing it halfway down the pitch. He's doing it inside of the crease.
I just think it's unnecessary. And maybe my reaction would be different if it wasn't someone who'd been in previous trouble and probably arguably needs to keep their nose clean a little
And
bit.
I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I think I'd still disagree with it, though. I'd still be like, look, it's just unnecessary.
Yeah, no, it is unnecessary. It's unnecessary for him to do it because he's in the position he's in, having done what he's done. It's daft of him to do it. If anybody else had done that, if it had been, I don't know, who does anyone think? If it had been Kane Williamson that goes out in the middle of the game,
brilliant.
Everyone would have been going, oh my God, that's a genius, that's an amazing thing. It would have been Ross Taylor. If it had been anyone of the Kiwis, because everyone loves them, other than the South African ones, everyone loves all the Kiwis. So if it had been one of them, everyone would have loved it.
Yeah, I got an
Everyone
idea.
would have been like, oh my God, that's so clever. Using shadow batting to scuff his marks out. That's dead clever. But because it's Steve Smith, and the world hates him at the minute, he's a dick.
I got an idea. When we release this episode on today, Thursday, at 8 o'clock in the morning, hopefully it'll be out by then, I think what we need to do is ask the question on Twitter. So if you're listening to this...
Or Instagram. We're doing an Instagram poll. Yeah.
Whichever one. But go both, whatever, Instagram or Twitter. We'll do polls on both of them.
What's
Let us know.
Going to be? Is Steve Smith a dick?
Yeah. Have you done something like that in the past? Have you scuffed up the pitch? Have you, inside of the crease, taken someone else's guard out? Sort of thing. What are your guys' thoughts on it? And again, maybe you need to actually, instead of doing a poll, maybe what we need to do is have some text where people write back in and go, yeah, I kicked half the pitch out. I threw my helmet in the floor and caused a dent. Whatever, That's the sort of thing it'll be interesting to look at. So, yeah, I suppose let's see what the listeners say.
Bit of audience interaction. Love that.
I think what we do need to do is do an episode on sledging.
Yeah.
Because I've had one of my mates who's running.
Am I doing 2 episodes then? I've been banned more than Steve Smith in league cricket.
Between you and your new captain at Pat, he's had his fair share as well.
Oh, crikey! Yeah, it's going to be.
But on a positive note, how awesome was it to see India's rear guard?
Oh yeah.
And to be fair, Rishabh Pant was batting with a knackered elbow because he got hit badly in the first innings. Obviously, Jadeja they said he'd have batted, but I mean, if the test had been dead and buried, it'd have been pointless. They need to get him back because obviously England are going over to play India in a decent test series, so they'll obviously want him available for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, brilliant. I mean, Pujara he's like the new Dravid, isn't he? He's like a wall. Just values his wicket so much. We'll just bat and leave and block and. He got 77, I think. Pant got 97 or 98. Yeah. Shame for him not to get to his 100. But then Vihari, who's had a real tough time of it, batted well. Got 30-odd or 40-odd. And then I think Ravi Ashwin got 39 as well, didn't he? So, look, just goes to show why they're one of the best teams in the world. Their lower middle order can do a job. I think the pitch was pretty flat. They were talking about it maybe going a bit up and down, but I think I watched a fair bit of it, and it didn't seem to offer the bowlers that much assistance. I think Lyon and Stark they were talking about as always being the 2 most dangerous ones, but Lyon bowled well and grunted and grumbled a little bit and huffed and puffed as he does. But fair play to India, and the Aussies, as tough as they play cricket, will always say well done and always respect them for kind of putting that performance in. Staying in Australia for a minute, the BBL, Jason Roy, 70-odd not out today for the Scorchers. Liam Livingstone got 50-odd. They won 1 down. They're going well. Obviously, Alex Hales is going brilliantly. We had another row before this, didn't we, about whether he should be in the England squad or not. Look, who makes that final decision? If it's the England captain, I don't think that James Taylor and Ed Smith could easily put him in the squad.
Don't runs make the final decision?
Nope.
No.
I honestly think that there's a massive personality clash between what Owen Morgan wants for the England side, and he wants what the England side to be, and what Alex Hales is seen to be from the England captain's perspective. Now,
it's an image thing, isn't it? It's what he wants the England side to look like.
And I don't know Owen Morgan. I don't know Alex Hales. I know Robbo knows Alex, and has known him for a long time. But look, no one's questioning his talent, no one's questioning his ability. But if the England captain doesn't want you in his side because he doesn't agree with how you either currently live or have previously lived your life, then if he gets ultimate final say, then I think Alex Hales is probably going to be out in the cold for the rest of his career, or certainly the rest of Owen Morgan's career. I think Alex is younger than Owen, isn't he? But
Sounds like another KP to me. That's the only thing I'd say. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's all.
but KP never got done for drugs on a number of occasions, did he? That's the thing.
Well, he's still, it's still a captain's decision.
Yeah. But let's not forget Alex Hales was also on the scene when the Ben Stokes thing happened. So, if you get, and it's a similar kind of thing to the Steve Smith thing. If you're in trouble once, if you really want to, be that guy and play at the top of your profession, then just keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
Simple. I love the way he plays cricket. I love the way he bats, but I mean, David Millan's really struggled over there in the BBL playing for Hobart. They've not had a great tournament. He's not had a great tournament. But he's the number one T20 international batsman in the world. He will play and he will bat at 3. It's probably going to be Butler and Roy. You've got Bairstow, you've got Morgan himself. England are spoilt for choice. Livingston's doing all right.
So they're only going to pick 7 batters, most of which will keep, and then they'll pick 9 bowlers.
Yeah.
They'll pick Butler, Bairstow.
2 Currans you've got.
2 Curran. They'll pick those 6 batters, whether it be, and then that top 4 we spoke about with Bairstow coming in at 4, Morgan 5, Stokes at 6. They're only going to pick 1, maybe 2 more batters.
Yeah.
So you say Livingston's got to go. Because he's in possession, and then Denley seems to be in front the next one as well. So if you're looking at that, Denley kind of fulfills that Milan role when that's a sort of a straight swap, you'd probably say. And then the rest of them, just off they go, and then go back. So
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. The only thing, here's a thought. What about Lewis Gregory? He's been having an absolute stormer.
He's done really well. For
the Heat.
But when you've seen him in an England shirt, he's not. Look, he's one of those brilliant county cricketers, brilliant first-class cricketers who's kind of struggled at that top level. Or, look, maybe he's come into it quite late. People have been calling for him to play for England for 5, 6, 7 years, and for whatever reason, he's one of those guys that hasn't made it. But he's done all right when he's come in, and yes, he's having a brilliant big bash.
He captained the Lions, didn't he?
They obviously rate him, and he's good all round.
Again, who are you going to pick him instead of? You're going to pick him instead of the Curran brothers?
Exactly,
Probably not. You're not going to pick him instead of one of the spinners, instead of Moeen Ali is that third all-rounder role. Wokes.
Here's the other thing. You mentioned Stokes a minute ago. Like Stokes at 6. Stokes at 6 in T20, you're killing yourself, I think.
You must
But they'll back Stokes at 5, won't they? They'll go Stokes 5, Morgan 6, and then Morgan will bat anywhere between...
Will Morgan be 4?
No. Milan 3, Bairstow 4.
Bairstow 4.
That's crazy, eh? What a lineup.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
But if they want... like we said before, didn't we, with that one-day side, it's the same in the T20 series that was in South Africa. They could almost play a game when they want to. Like, right, okay, everyone's got to stand in the changing room in notes on, and the first two out with kit on.
Yeah.
You're in the batting.
Yeah.
But they're very fortunate. And while that debate about Halesey is certain, and there's other names in it. We've not mentioned Billings, who's gone out and scored runs when he's played. You've not mentioned other lads that have gone out and done well in the sort of blast as it was. So there'll be a lot of people, like you say, Gregory, that we're fortunate at the minute that.
Well, Sam Billings would almost be the third choice keeper because you got Butler and Bairstow, and then Sam, who got 80 odd not out to win the game the other night.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's a brilliant cricketer. He's also a brilliant fielder, as most wicket keepers tend to be, as is Bairstow, as is Butler when they're in the outfield. But yeah, so look, as we all know, England absolutely spoilt for choice and in a good spot. They are going to Sri Lanka, so it'll be very interesting there. 2 test series, I think. The news coming out of the camp today, being Tuesday, is that Moeen Ali remains in isolation and is now unlikely to take any part in the tour because he has to return to a negative test before he can even travel home. A shame for Mo. I was thinking about this earlier. He's kind of look, he took that sabbatical almost, didn't he? Where he didn't want to play in the Test side, and then form has meant that he hasn't really had a go since deciding to go back to international cricket. Mixture of form and availability and whatever, an injury, and then obviously now, if he was going to get back into the red ball side, then it was probably as the second spinner in Sri Lanka, and now it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, someone who's not getting any younger, no, as good as he is, he's probably got to be. He might be facing a few dark days, kind of wondering where his international career lies at the minute.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough for him. Feel sorry for him.
I think it'd be an interesting series, to be fair. Sri Lanka, obviously, I mean, they got a massive amount of injuries in that South Africa series, but their bowling attack was, I'll be nice and say poor.
Poor?
Yeah. I'll be nice and say poor.
Yeah.
They're obviously bowling in South Africa compared to bowling in Sri Lanka. I mean, they're not going to play three seamers, are they?
No.
We all know what's going to happen. They're going to pick one seamer, a batting all-rounder that bowls a bit, and then however many spinners they can get their hands on.
I wonder if they'll pick both of the Fernandos. I thought that left-arm Fernando who got a fifer in the second test. It looked decent. And then the other lad, the right-armer, who opens up, I was thinking he looks like he bowls whiffers. But then you see him coming up, and he's bowling like 86, 87 miles an hour. So, look, Sri Lanka have always had some talented bowlers, but they've always been renowned for the batsmen, haven't they? From Ranatunga, Jayasuriya, Sangakkara, Jayawardene, Chandimal. Matthews is probably the best all-rounder that they've produced. But, other than Vars and left arm...
Harath.
Harath.
Yeah, Ranga Harath and Murali, obviously, in Malinga. They're not really known for the bowlers, and they don't have any world-beating bowlers at the minute on the spin or the seam front. So
no, that's what I mean. We don't quite know what's going to rock up, do we? I mean, if we're going on the performance in South Africa, when they got hammered, to be fair. You'd say you'd fancy facing them on flat wicket.
Yeah. Well, I backed 700, didn't it? In our group, in our WhatsApp group, I backed 700, didn't I? And I think they got 600 in the end, didn't they? But
I thought Mickey Arthur and Andy Flower were going to come out and bat at one stage because they were so injured.
Yeah, try and boost the test
Andy
average.
Flower probably would have done them a favour.
yeah.
So, especially against Maharaj, you'd have swept and reverse swept the life out of that. Like watching Zorro's blade go round.
That is the great thing about this time of year, though, isn't it? Like, as Englishmen or living in England, like we do have access to still quite a lot of cricket during this time of the year. Like I obviously, as you boys know, commentate for Guerrilla Cricket, so I'll be doing some commentary over the England series, which means getting up at ridiculous times of the morning, but it's always good fun to do that. So for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, check out Guerrilla Cricket. It's basically online cricket commentary, but yeah, it's really good quality, but it's just a little less kind of highbrow, let's say, than TMS.
Yeah. Can I just make a point? We do these blogs, don't we? I don't know if the listeners have been reading the blogs on the website, but it's quite interesting. Well, we write them, so it's
yeah, we love them. Yeah.
I think Quinton de Kock read my last one. I'm just saying, ruled himself out, and he's had a good read of that.
Yep, I agree because he really stepped up in that series against Sri Lanka. It was good.
He batted well.
You know what? Yeah, we maybe we should just continue. Right? What do you want to write about? Do you want to write one about Steve Smith, Jono?
Yeah, well, I think it's my turn, isn't it?
It is your turn. Yeah. Do you want to write one about?
I
Steve
think
Smith,
it is my turn. So I will write. I'll write one about Steve Smith. Right, wait for it.
Can we write one about how good he is?
How good he is. No question about his talent.
What a man! What a man!
I just think it's a very, very poor decision.
To be fair, Mark Adair made some interesting points about it, didn't he, Mark? In the interview later, Mark Adair said
off air with Mark. Like, I can't believe he actually referred to Matthew Wade as one of the best blokes he's ever met, which I refuse to believe. But apparently, it's
have you met him, John?
True. Huh?
Have you met him?
No.
Love that.
So he's never going to be one of the best blokes you've ever met if you've not met him.
No, but I just refuse to believe he was a good bloke because of how he carries himself on a cricket pitch.
He's Australian,
Mark Adair says that
they're all nice as pie, but I've not met
David Warner.
A nice Australian.
David
I've not
Warner.
met a horrible Australian.
Okay.
I've not a genuinely horrible one. I've met them that will ridicule you, but I'll tell you what, I'll throw it out there now. They're nice and South Africans.
Right. This editing is going to
on
go
that
really
note,
well.
we'll have a
All my
short
mates are South
intermission.
African as well. I was going, absolutely.
I tell you what, it's a good job we don't record this in the same room. You should have been over the desk at you.
He's from Botswana, isn't he? He's from Botswana.
Swiftly moving on. West Indies are going to Bangladesh. Obviously, Joshua De Silva, who we recorded with on the Insta Live a few weeks ago, who is going to come on and do a full pod, he's going over, which is very, very exciting news. Also, our sponsors, Woodstock, have just picked up 2 more international players from the West Indies. Sean Otley, who is an opening batter, will be opening the batting, we think, in the one-day series, and Akeal Hussain, who's the left-arm finger-spinning batting all-rounder. So, Woodstock are very, very excited to see how they go. Obviously, excited to see how Josh goes. A lot of the West Indian senior players deciding not to go. Which I found strange with some of them. Some of them you can kind of understand it, but someone like Shamar Brooks, who's so recent to the international setup himself, he probably played over in England, and he's probably played 6 tests, but then just gone, no, I'm not going.
Bubble fatigue. Come on, you got to believe it.
Yeah, I get that,
yeah,
but I just think, look, and there's a lot to be said for that, and I know that mental health is obviously one of the main drivers for why we do this, but I wonder if there's a trade-off. I spoke to Josh about this. And he was surprised by the decision as well, because Josh is also very young in his career and went to England and went to New Zealand, and now he's going to Bangladesh because he feels that he has to, at that stage of his career, it's like jump how high, sir, type thing, because you don't want to give anybody any excuse not to include you in the next squad.
Yeah.
I'm sure Shamar Brooks has got his own reasons for not going. We don't know what they are.
How many have chosen not to go? I've not seen it. I'm sorry.
There's quite a few. There's a lot of them. Yeah, there's probably 8 or 10.
I mean, you wouldn't say, with that West Indies squad, certainly the one that came over here, other than, I don't know what younger bowlers the West Indies have got coming through. I'm not, probably the West Indies cricket podcast that you were talking about, to Josh on.
Yeah.
I think would be someone that we could talk about it, because you'd say the bowling attack is decent.
Yeah.
Decent, you'd say right there, if those big 3 are available in Roach, Holder and Gabriel, then they're nailed on for a tour.
Yeah.
But they're batting.
Well, that top 6 has been struggling for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, if it's not as if any of them, if any of them are, I don't know. You see, like Josh has come through, having not got a contract at his Ireland team to start off with, and had to go through the emerging players. So if they've got the players coming through, to say you're not going to go is a big shout when you've got no guarantees.
Well, this is. I think that it could work for the West Indies in the sense that a lot of the younger lads are now being given an opportunity to go and to try and to kind of put the hand in the ring or the hat in the ring or whatever you.
Hand up or hand in the ring. Captain.
Yeah, all right. Hat and the hand. You can put everything in the ring if you want. Throw your shoes in, for all I care.
Depends whose ring you're going in.
But it's a risk for the lads who are semi-established, because ultimately, if these lads go in and the WICB, who are known for making some pretty strange decisions at times, and all the fallouts between players and the board over the past 10 or 15 years anyway, if they then turf a load of these lads out and say, well, you've not been doing the business, these lads have been on the most recent tour, sorry, you've not been picked. Obviously, your Holders and a few of the others are obviously going to get.
So there's probably Dowrich in there, which is obviously, but with Josh coming through, would you say his place?
I think Dowrich will probably get in as a batter anyway. I think is what I'm being told, or is what people from the West Indies region would say. I'm trying to talk to Mashal, who's obviously one of the 2 guys that run the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'd love to get him on and talk to him about that. So yeah, we'll try and tee that up. But we've done. I think we've covered this week in cricket quite nicely there, chaps. So before the next voice or the next part of the recording you will hear after this note from our wonderful partners, the Lord's Taverners, will be our interview done last night with Mark Adair. Enjoy.
The Lord's Taverners is the UK's leading youth cricket and disability sports charity. We break down barriers and empower disadvantaged and disabled young people to fulfil their potential and build life skills. Our cricket programmes support some of the most marginalised and at-risk young people in the UK, using sport and recreation to build links and encouraging groups to play sport together. We tackle issues such as knife crime, unemployment, radicalisation and also isolation, something we are all feeling right now. Last year, our programmes impacted the lives of more than 12,000 young people, and with your support will help even more in the future. Find out more and make a donation at lordstaverners.org and help us to continue our life-changing work. Thank you.
So thank you very much to the Lord's Taverners there. Obviously, please do continue to support them on our behalf. And yes, tonight we welcome Ireland's answer to Stokesy or Coley or Williamson or whoever else, the other best players in the world. We welcome to Slugging It, the one and only Mark Adair. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Nice to see everyone. Nice to have a good chat.
Yeah, yeah. For those that we've been on this, we've been talking absolute nonsense to each other for about half an hour before we've actually started recording the podcast. We know that the toilet paper in the Ritz in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or wherever he currently isn't as thick as you'd expect it to be, and many other things that we will no doubt come up. But we're going to go through. We're going to start right at the start, Mark. Obviously, you're a Belfast boy, an Irish international cricketer, but we want to know, where did it all start for you? Like, what was life like growing up in Belfast? How early were you exposed to cricket, and what kind of caused you to fall in love with the game?
I think I was 9 when I started playing, but my old man played for Holyrood Cricket Club, which is where I played. My brother played. A lot of mates would play, and yeah, we used to go watch him play for the ones whenever me and my brother would cause some havoc on the sidelines. He would be fielding it long on, sort of parenting at one stage, and playing cricket at the other. I'm not sure what was worse, but we're still here. So he must have done a good job one way.
And was it was quite popular then, cricket as a sport, even at that period in like Belfast and Northern Ireland? It was already pretty well established.
Yeah, I think it had been around for ages, and I think there was a lot of clubs. It's probably more the amount of clubs have gone down, probably, but the standard of the clubs have gone up, if you know what I mean, because there's less small clubs. A couple of clubs are merging, which obviously you never want to give up the identity of your club, but it's nice to see clubs getting bigger and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's good. Like, the standard is getting better, and I think obviously we can't compare it to league cricket over in England, because there's hundreds and hundreds of teams, if not thousands, and different leagues and all sorts. But it's getting there.
So when you say Hollywood, I mean, anybody who loves cricket generally plays golf. It's not the place in the American Californian hills, but it is also, there's another famous sportsman, isn't there? Comes from Hollywood.
Yes.
Being the one more, Rory McIlroy. Now, you love your golf, and playing some pretty tough conditions. You always, whenever we seem to be on the phone, you always are on the way back from shooting kind of 4 under in 14 mile an hour winds at Royal Portrush or Royal County Down. Or...
Don't think that conversation ever happened. But if it did, I'll be absolutely delighted. I'll make sure I'll ring you if that day ever comes.
Yeah. That's just the conversations Jono has when coming back from golf. He's never shot over par in his life. On the way back, it's always
only with you, though.
4 under in a gale.
I only show you my best golf, Robbo. But Rory, I mean, did Rory ever grace the 22 yards, or have you ever played golf with him? Do you know him? He's probably a bit older than you, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he was. My eldest sister is, I think she's 29 or 30. 29.
Okay. And
I should probably know that, shouldn't I? But yeah,
possibly.
I think he was a couple of years above her in school, and they spent a bit of time that way. And like, he would come back to Hollywood every now and again. Like, my dad was a member up at Hollywood Golf Club, and he would have played with his dad and his uncles and stuff.
Wow.
Like, people leave him alone when he comes home. Do you know what I mean? Because they're almost like,
yeah.
They give him the time, they give him the space, because it's like, oh well, Rory's home now. You don't want to go and badger him when he's driving down Hollywood High Street in his Ferrari. Yeah, I'll have a photo, mate. Like, just leave the guy alone. Like.
Yeah. Surely he'd be asking you guys for photos, though. That's the way you've got to flip it.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah, big cricket fan, big fan.
So obviously, what's the name of the club now? I spoke to someone from your current club the other day. But it's
CIYMS, which means
and what does that stand for?
Yeah, Church of Ireland Young Men's Society, which is very much how the guys there operate.
Right.
It's like one of those multi-sports clubs. So you've got rugby, you got cricket, you got there's hockey there, there's tennis there, and like my old man played there when he was growing up. He spent a bit of time there. I've got close family friends there, so it made sort of best decision to move.
And a good standard as well, like one of the strongest clubs in Irish cricket from an amateur perspective.
Yeah, I think we won 5 trophies 2 years ago, and now we're off to the ECL, or the European Cricket League, out in La Manga, which it'll be strange. I think we were in the same group as your man Pavel Florin, who we call him.
The Romanian.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to bowl me an absolute seed, and have to do the rounds somewhere on Instagram, and me to never be able to live it down.
Can you imagine?
He went over and played grade cricket last year, didn't he? He was doing a massive run about how he'd been signed by a club to play grade cricket in Australia.
You are joking.
No. I'm not saying he played first grade.
Oh, yeah, let's be clear on that. It wasn't first 11. I think it was 6th or 7th 11.
He wasn't bowling that like Steve Smith on Steve Smith's week off. He went over because I think the Australian Cricket Board had to sort of approve his visa.
Yeah.
Because of his whatever from his past or whatever it was. But yeah, and he was the first ever cricketer to play in 4th grade to have a visa approved by the Australian Cricket Board.
I mean, he's a Romanian doorman who bowls. I mean, he doesn't even bowl whiffers. I mean, these things are absolute grenades, aren't they?
He loves it, though. He absolutely loves it. Fair play.
Yeah. We'll get him on.
He's become a celebrity. Like I was watching something on social media the other day, and like literally, he has met everybody that every person who loves cricket in the world wants to meet. He's somehow become this internet cricket global sensation. Move over, Sachin. Old Florin's coming through, and just living his best life.
Fair play to him,
yeah.
To be fair, though, if I do get a video from La Manga Club at any point with a Woodstock flailing past a slow straight one, and your contract's coming out of the safe, and I'm going to video call you with a matchbox in your contract.
I don't know, mate. Your views will go through the roof on the kit.
Yeah, genius. I actually might have to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's all on Astro, isn't it? I know that Desert Springs in Spain were putting grass wickets in, but I think La Manga's all on Astro, is it?
No, it's there's grass. We actually played in our domestic structure. We played a round of 50 over games there.
Oh wow!
Because I think we played it early April, because of the weather. We had the senior team, the Irish team, had a busy schedule, so we needed to get some of the called into pros. So we need to get some of the fixtures in early. So went to the Manga, and it was fairly cost effective, I'd say.
That's a steady pre-season trip, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 days.
The Manga, it's brilliant, to be fair. I mean, obviously 3 golf courses as well, which is great. But I mean, La Manga, it's like an amazing resort. I don't know if Robert and Eugene you've ever been, but it's huge. Like it's just got everything there. There's a massive hotel and like nightclubs on site, and
the
you
last
have to drive to the pizzeria, and I mean the piano bar. No doubt you're in. You'd have been tucked up early, Mark, being the model professional that you are. So the piano bar you might have missed that, but hell of a place. But I thought they were just on Astro there, right? But that's they've obviously been improving the facilities vastly. Then, if they've got grass wickets now that are playable for decent standard cricket.
No, yeah, it's good. It's a good setup. We've got, I think Cricket Ireland have their sort of affiliation with them, and almost have it like a training camp sort of place for us, because I think the Ireland women team are meant to go out and stuff like that, and it's actually getting there. Once it's a couple more years, it'll be a great spot.
So, Mark, obviously, you're currently on tour in the UAE to play against the UAE and Afghanistan. Um, Talk us through that. I mean, obviously, great to be in seeing some sunny weather, I guess. But what's it like? Obviously, the bubble, the cricket that you've played so far, and how much you're looking forward to the rest of the tour.
Yeah, we're out here in the Ritz. Pretty lucky to be out here. I think I sent a few photos back home on New Year's. There's a big fireworks display by the canal, and we've got almost like a little segment of the beach out front. So we're pretty lucky to be here. Facilities are always class. Like, they've just had the IPL here, so they're sort of set up for bubbles, and they're set up for the place being in good shape. And yeah, obviously played that first game. Didn't go to plan, but I don't think we were far off from playing how we wanted to play. And there were a few things just didn't go our way, a few decisions or a few drop catches, and just a bit of rustiness really. Like, our last international was sort of England. And these boys have been playing domestic cricket and stuff for a while, so it's a mix of our rustiness and their freshness, and a really good performance from them. But yeah, bubble life suits me, I think.
How does that as a result for you against the UAE? So I mean, a couple of the Irish lads that I played with, when back in 2005-06, it was when Purdy was just starting, Kev O'Brien was just starting, stuff like that. Obviously, they were playing a lot against Denmark and the UAE and that kind of stuff, and it was quite competitive. But since then, obviously, you and Afghanistan have flown.
Yeah.
How would that be as a result now for you guys? Not trying to rub it in.
No, absolutely.
How's that perceived?
Yeah, like, obviously we were. You don't expect to come in with a win, but you sort of aim to come out there. We aim to come out of this series with 4 wins, and stumbled at the first hurdle really. Like, we've still got a series where we can turn around and win. Look back on and think, well, that first game, glad we lost it then, because sort of put everyone back in gear, and just a bit of clarity really. Like, obviously you never want to lose a game, but if you had to lose one, you don't mind losing the first one and then winning 3 on the bounce and winning a series 3-1, rather than winning the first 2 and then all of a sudden you lose 2 more and then you lose 3-0 against Afghanistan. It's never ideal, but just trying to get.
Is that because the standard of associate cricket, not just you and Afghanistan's, improving, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got guys. I think the global tournaments, like, they've got the T10 and stuff, and some of their players mix in there, and you're playing with guys who are playing top level cricket, guys who are playing for Australia, for England, for South Africa, West Indies boys do come here as well, and you've got, like, they are learning, and the more you chat to these blokes, and the more you sort of watch them, and you see the way they go about things, or you chat to them, and tactically you get better. And I think whenever you get to the top level, I think it is, most guys have enough talent to sort of be around there. It's just whether and how they put it together. And you see guys who, like, 2 guys come in and got 100 there. Like, they gave a couple of chances, but like, we obviously should have taken those and stuff like that. But at the same time, you still have to go around. You still have to put an innings together and put a run chase together. Like, they needed 7 or 8s at one stage, and then they came in, they took right risks, and then sort of eased off when they didn't need to and stuff like that. So they played smart cricket. So fair play to them.
Do you think the wickets are getting better out there? Because, I mean, I remember watching, there was that famous series that England played against Pakistan out in the UAE a few years ago, and it was just ragging from ball one. Like, but, obviously they had the IPL out there a few months ago. I think they're more than likely to have the next IPL out there again, considering the COVID crisis in India. But watching the IPL, as we probably all did quite closely, like, the wickets seem to have a bit more pace and a bit more carry in them. So they're good cricket wickets now. They're not just loaded, with spinners, I imagine.
Yeah, like, they're getting there. I think obviously, I think in the IPL they kept a bit of grass on it to make it a bit fairer. Like, if you just turn that into a Bunsen burner, that it's got nothing in it for the seamers, and it'll go pretty one way. I think bit of grass, and it keeps a bit of pace in it as well. Means that you can use the wickets for longer, stuff like that. So it's sort of how you go about things and how you plan out your series or your tournament. And the good thing is they've got all the resources over here to sort of turn that into whatever they want, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not short on cash. I mean, like Simon said, like we as Englishmen or whatever, watch and see Irish cricket quite a lot. It's we see it, we're quite well exposed to it, and the fortunes obviously when India and Kev had that amazing innings against England in India, 2014 I think that was, and then really put Irish cricket on the map, and so we're exposed to it quite a lot, but we don't see or hear much about the other associate nations. And so I was quite surprised when he said to us earlier about, when my perception would be that you would walk over the UAE without even necessarily thinking about it, because I would expect Irish cricket to be so much stronger. But it's actually, I think it's probably quite a good thing that they can challenge a side such as yourselves, who obviously got some brilliant players, and you're a side that challenge England.
No, absolutely. I think like the way where our team is at the minute, like I'm 24, and I'm the split in the youngies oldies football. Like
Right.
the way I think it's the youngest oldies team ever they've ever had. Like
Right.
so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm definitely a youngie, like no doubt. And then all of a sudden we're doing the count, and you're like, hold on, you're older than me. Yeah, you're younger. Oh no. And then all of a sudden you're like, so like there's plenty of youth in our team. There's a lot of guys who, I know you chatted about Kev and stuff earlier, about who've played a lot against these guys, but there's guys who haven't. There's guys who it's the first time in Abu Dhabi. It's the first time playing outside of the UK. I think we brought quite a young group to the T20 qualifiers here last time, and I think we got a good bit of experience there. But there's not a huge amount of overseas experience in this team, this is where playing these games it's so important. It's absolutely invaluable to expose guys to this. Just give them a chance to see how it goes.
How much would you speak to like those more experienced guys? Then I don't know if they're on the tour with you at the minute. That's the reason I'm asking. I don't know if they are used as coaching, or like Australia use Ponting as like a confidant communicator coach.
Yeah, almost like a consultant sort of thing.
Consulting, yeah.
We've got Kevy's obviously still here, Sterlo's here. Albo's played a lot of cricket, and sort of you look at those three, and they're probably the most senior three players. And Kevy's played over 330, 340 times, maybe even more than maybe 350. I'm not sure.
Wow,
but that's a lot of games. And same with Sterlo. Sterlo's played in almost every competition under the sun. He's played with a lot of guys. And whenever they're chatting about how they go about it, they're naming guys like nickname basis for these guys because they played against them so much. And then you're like, who are you talking about here? Oh yeah, okay. But no, they're definitely. I think it's really encouraged as well. Like Graham Ford, our head coach, is big on communication and just chatting to people about cricket and about different things. And
hell of a coach he is.
Oh, he's class. He's called Yoda from time to time amongst the players. I'm not sure he knows that. So that could be interesting. If I get called out next week, Sparky, what have you been? But just because he just knows, like he's so knowledgeable in the way he goes about things, and we've added Stuart Barnes in there as bowling coach, and we've got Ben Smith as well,
nice,
as like a batting consultant. And so there's knowledge there, and there's guys who've played a lot and coached a lot, and I personally think it's a good camp to be in.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's exciting. I mean, the other thing one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was, and we spoke about it off air earlier, like Sterlo and Kev have played for English counties, and we've spoken about this, as I say before, but do you think that the way that the system now works, so that as an Irish cricketer, you would have to get a contract as an overseas versus what it used to be, whereas, because of Irish, British passports or whatever, you could play as you wouldn't have to qualify as one of the two overseas.
Yeah.
How detrimental is that to Irish cricket? And, as someone who's still, young, as you say, 24, someone who, probably would have really enjoyed the opportunity to come and play in England in the county setup, how does that disappoint you massively, or are you happy that it allows you to, help bring the guys on by playing in Irish cricket? I mean, there's a trade-off somewhere, I guess, isn't there?
Yeah, I spent 5 years at Warwickshire.
In
Birmingham, and like the amount I improved just from being around a professional setup. And I know Cricket Ireland's getting there, but if you're not contracted with Cricket Ireland, like your training schedules and your stuff like that is limited. And I think obviously that's where we want to get to. But the amount of players that county cricket produced for Ireland was massive. There was the time where there was sort of 8 or 9 in the 11 who were consistently playing county cricket, and then potentially more who could have. And you almost relied on those guys to, they came in for tournaments. They weren't there all the time. They came in for your qualifier here or your I Cup over there and stuff like that. And it was great because they were playing cricket all year round. They were playing cricket in the winter, playing all this sort of stuff. But no, like there's guys here who I think would walk into county setups. They would walk in and would make a difference to teams. Like I think obviously Gaz Delaney went over to Leicester and stuff and did really well for them. And like he's an asset. And I think this guy, like you got a guy who whacks it and balls the leggies. He's going to be useful to someone. And even the younger batters and stuff like that. Like there's opportunities there where we might not have that right now. But then again, if you're England and you're playing against Ireland, so why would you then help promote and improve Irish cricketers to then play against you?
Well, I mean, there's that age-old argument, isn't there, about, if India are coming over, they'll send Pujara and Rahane over to play for a county for, 6 or 8 county matches before they play in a 5-test series. I mean, so I don't
as an
think
overseas,
it would just be
it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't personally agree with it. I think it's a step backwards. I think the relationship between England and Ireland cricket should be stronger. I mean, there's obviously been strong links before, but I think that, you'd obviously be a massive asset, as you say, like Gaz Delaney and a few of the other boys. I think it's a bit of an oversight from the ECB to kind of change that relationship. It's good for Irish cricket because it means that you guys are playing within your own setup, but also I think for the strength of Irish cricket, which the ECB should be trying to help bring along with it, my personal view is that I'd prefer to see you guys still being able to play.
You've got to think about it. Where's England's next captain going to come from? I mean, come on.
Well, South Africa or Ireland, isn't it?
He's on here chatting to us.
Gilo there. You get on the phone. Gilo, you have to change your mind here. Fed up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mark, he's a cracking lad. He's definitely the right replacement for Rick.
Well, he actually sacked me, so that don't bring.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Right, fair enough. Oh, dearie me.
That would be a turn up for the books.
Yeah. So sorry, Mark. I've completely changed my mind about you, mate. And you're in. And you're not only in, you are taking over from Joe.
Hi, Gilo. I've got Morgan Adair. Yeah, not interested. Seen him before.
Exactly. Talking of Joe Root, brings on to something very, very nicely. Now, I don't know if he's currently in your pocket on holiday with you, or whether you let him out of your pocket after the game at Lord's. But you mugged him off twice, didn't you? See you, Joe. Don't use all the hot water, mate.
But it was nice to get him out. Like he's one of those guys where, yeah, it sounds really stupid, but as a young bloke, you do sort of watch cricket as a fan, and you see these guys going out and churning out runs, and you're like, yeah, they're class. And then next thing you know, you're making an international debut, and next thing you know, you're playing against them in a test match, and you're like, I'm actually playing against you. I'm not watching as a fan here. And then you get him out, and you don't really think about it at the time, and then you look back at it, and you're like, I really like watching him bat, and he's really good at cricket. And then all of a sudden, you get him out, and you feel, you get a little inflation of the ego there, which is good.
I mean, but how is that? I mean, to get your head around that, because and I've certainly never experienced it, but to be stood at the end of your mark and go, have that realization of, okay, I'm on my debut. It happens to be at Lord's, the home of the global game, and that's Joe Root, and I've been watching him on TV for years. And he's seen as one of the 4 best batters at the time in the world. And, Simon, don't pull a face. He has been referred to as in that big 4. Whether he is anymore or not is anybody's guess. But, was there ever that thing where you just went, shit, this is a bit Is it like it feel like an out of body experience, or do you just have to kind of put that all to one side and just because that is your job, I guess, to bowl at him and get him out, isn't it? In that situation.
I don't really know if it's one of those where you think whenever when you're actually playing, I'm one of those blokes. I hate losing. I hate being rubbish at things. Like whether it's I don't know, whether it's rock paper scissors with my sister, or I just can't lose. I hate losing. And then you get into the competition and stuff like that, and you do think like it is your job, and you do think about trying to get into a contest pretty quick. And it sounds really embarrassing, but like you don't really recognize and you don't realize the people that are there. And like at Lords, it was like the walking out to the field was probably more intense than anything that happened on the field. I think I'd said that before somewhere, and like Mertz waited at the long room and waited for me to come out and sort of just told me to enjoy it on the way off, on the way on. He was like, but he said enjoy it before we then actually walked down the steps and on the field. And I think looking back on it, that's what he was talking about. I think he was talking about just the full experience of walking out day one at a test at Lords. And like he'd never experienced that before, but he knew it was coming. And you get goosebumps. But then as soon as you start bowling again, you're sort of thinking, fuck, stop going on his legs and get clipped through the wicket for 4.
Yeah. I mean, Mertz obviously knows Lords pretty well, having he's made the place his own, hasn't he?
Taken about 14,000 wickets there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know we had more first class appearances at Lords in our 11 than they did in their 11.
Seriously?
Yeah, because Mertz has 950.
Yeah. Mertz has been playing there for 15 years. Wow, that's a good old stat, that. But so in that game, you got some proper batters out. Root twice, Bairstow, Ollie Stone doesn't really count, but that would have been a nice one because you'll have known him from your days at Warwickshire, and obviously Wokesy you'll have played with it at Warwickshire as well. But I mean, Bairstow and Root across the formats are two of the game's leading players. I mean, that's a massive, massive achievement.
Yeah,
to be bashful.
It was class. Like it was class. Bairstow bagged him as well, which was funny.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
That was so did Guy Wilson. Both keepers bagged him. So he was not happy.
Wilson would have been livid at that as well.
Oh mate, he posted something on Instagram after. It was a photo of his kid Oliver, who's the most adorable child. But he could have competition because Gary's actually just had his second little baby Oscar a couple of days ago. But it was he was grumpy, and the caption was, "It's 39 degrees, you're sweating, and your dad bags him at Lords."
Brilliant.
It's just perfect. But no, it's class to play against these guys and class to get them out as well.
I mean, a lot was made of the wicket, wasn't it? And not only then, but obviously the World Cup final at Lords. There's a lot of grass left on it. I mean, would you have said it was a? What do you want to see for across any form of cricket? Like you talk about in the UAE, you leave a bit more grass on it because otherwise it'll just turn into an absolute raging turner. Do you think there's been talk that maybe at Lords they leave a little bit too much grass on it at times? Do you think that might have been the case for the Test match? Would you have preferred to see maybe less bowler-friendly wicket?
No. Absolutely. No.
When you've got Tim Murtagh. I mean, there's a reason he's been at Lords for 15 years, and that's because he's got Mike Hunt in his back pocket.
We spent a full day in the dirt at the Test, and it was 38 degrees, and we were like, "This! Imagine doing this for 2 days. Like, if they're going to post 500 day one, bowled us out for 50, and then all of a sudden we're back in the dirt again. That would." That's not what you want to see. Like, obviously, you want to see competition. You want to see a fair competition. I don't know. Root came out and said that he criticised, didn't think it was close to being fair competition in bat and ball. But look, you want to see it go.
Response.
No, but you want to see it go 4 days. You want to see good competition. You want to see good shots played. You want to see good balls bowled. And yeah, maybe it was. Slightly bowler friendly, but that's our excuse for getting bowled out for 38.
which we will we'll leave there. I mean, you know, watching that, I was really intrigued.
More than
by
India
it
got for the week.
Happens.
Yeah.
I watching that. I thought Ireland are going to win this, and this is going to be massive. And then, you know, I think Chris Wokes bowled incredibly well, didn't he, in that second dig?
Yeah, he got 6 for it.
Yeah, and you know, it probably suited him because he just nips it about a little bit, and the wicket still was offering a lot of assistance at that point. But I thought, you know, that could have been another defining moment of Irish cricket. As it happened, it didn't work out, you know, the way in which you'd have wanted it to. But you know, to play a Test match at Lords, it must have been an amazing thing. I mean, what's the now you've had a taste of Test cricket? I presume, you know, you, similar to us, probably think it's the purest form of the game. Is your hunger and thirst for Test cricket just, you know, ever increasing?
Yeah, I loved it. I think Test cricket, although my experience is pretty limited, it's something which you just want to play more of. As a bowler, you know you're bowling 20 overs, 25 overs in a day, but you don't mind it because you know it's Test cricket. You know you have to sort of get up to it, and you know there's going to be plenty of lads, like the Seamers group particularly. Sort of they back each other and know that, you know, such and such is bowling a long spell here. Like, I'm going to have to back him up. I'm going to have to then take over so he can get his feet up for a while or stuff like that. And you do sort of, you want to mix in, you want to really get stuck in. And I think it's a class experience. I think there's more team orientated in Test cricket than there is in any other form. I think like T20 cricket, you can get a guy who can smoke 100, or smoke 80 out of 50 balls or 40 balls, and sort of takes the game away from someone else. Whereas Test cricket, you need batters to bat in partnerships and put a score on the board, and then you need your bowlers to come in and take 20 wickets to win. And I think that's just sort of, I think that's why a Test win is so much more sort of rewarding than ODI wins or T20 wins.
Do you think mentally, like watching Australia against India on day 3 or 4, I think it was day 4, really could have done with a really quick start. And Vihari is stood at backward square leg, and Marnus Labuschagne, like thick inside edge, absolute goober, and he basically just goes, nah, don't want anything to do with that. Carry on, Marnus, get yourself a 50, chief. But that, I think the mental side of Test cricket, it must be completely different. You cannot switch off for a second. And that must be a long time to have to concentrate, like every ball for 90 overs in a day or whatever it is. Like it must be a much more intense experience than kind of T20 or one-day cricket.
It's a different sort of intensity. Like T20 cricket, you know there's a buzz at all times because you have to run around. You're going from deep square leg to long on to then backing up the keeper to backing up the bowler to switching between right and left hand. It's just busy. Whereas Test cricket is that sort of thing where you settle in, and in between each ball, you have your chat, you have whatever. But it's being able to refocus, I think, is the key. Whereas T20 cricket, you focus for an hour and 15 minutes and you're off. But it's switching on and switching off. And I think people then, you see goober catches being dropped because people are switching off and not switching back on again. And then all of a sudden they're like, fuck's sake, should have just concentrated there for 10 minutes more.
So obviously, Mark, we were chatting before we started recording this, and you were saying that you actually quite like life in the bubble. Were you gaming with the boys and whatever? You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, just imagine being 24 years old, having an Xbox there, having Call of Duty whenever you want, doing a bit of training in between, and then stay in the Ritz. Just pull out front. You get food delivered to your door if you want. Like, you know, it sort of sounds. It doesn't sound as bad whenever you put it that way. Like, obviously, there's times where you're like, I would love to get out of this room. Or like the first, we did 3 days quarantine at the very start, where not allowed to leave the room, and you know that can be annoying. It can be frustrating, stuff like that. But whenever if we have afternoon training, we're leaving it. Bus leaves at sort of 1:15. You do your stuff and have breakfast in the morning, bit of a lounge, and then you don't get back till 5:30, 6, and then all of a sudden it's dinner time, and then you're on the wind down anyway. Like obviously, like you miss your family, you miss your missus, all that sort of stuff, and then, but it's sort of I would describe myself as like an antisocial social person. I actually don't like people. I don't like being around. I like my people and like some people, but like, if you'd put me in like a real social situation, I would be able to hold my own, no problem. But I would just really not enjoy it.
How did it work? You said you spoke about the fireworks display and stuff on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
Do,
yeah,
do you know? Obviously, you're in a bubble. You form a bubble as your team. You're
yeah.
all staying in the same hotel, but you have to be in your own rooms. How does it work? Like, if you want to go to the pool or if you want to go to the beach, do you have to stay social distanced? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so we've got these little fob tracker things. If I could find mine, it's on the bed somewhere.
Brilliant.
And like they ping off each other if they get too close. But
Cool.
yeah, like it's grand. Like we've got balcony here. You can sort of look over the canal. You can still see the guys. Like you know what I mean. You can go down. We've got a little. So we're staying in the. It's like an arc of a hotel almost.
Yeah.
And we're staying on one side of it. So we've blocked off like a breakfast area, like a little lounge area downstairs, outside, some sofas. We've got a pool at the back, which only we can go to, all that sort of stuff. And it's absolutely grand. Like for anyone who complains about it, maybe in week 5 it would be tough.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad when you're over here.
Happy days. So you've got obviously a couple of games left against the UAE, and then you've got I think a 3 or 4 match series against Afghanistan.
Yeah, 3 games.
I mean, they've obviously got a couple of fantastic players. I think Hazmatullah Zaza is one of the top 10 T20 international batsmen in the world, and then obviously
he's not in the squad.
He's not in the squad.
He's not in their one-day squad.
Oh, is he not? What about Rashid? Is Rashid going to be back for it?
I think he played his last BBL game today, so he'll be on his way over.
Wow. Have you had to play? Have you faced up against him before?
Yeah.
Decent.
He got me out 4 times in 6 balls.
Skills, John.
Nicked off, dropped. Missed stumping. He put down a hard chance himself. Took a single and then LBW, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fine. That's not. Yes, don't mind talking about those.
I mean, my questions have been absolutely on point tonight.
So we've covered getting bowled out for 38 by England. We've covered Rashid Khan. Anything else that we've? I think there's a story from the West Indies that we've neglected to mention at some point.
Yeah.
But
in fact, I might just rip your contract up now, mate. I think not because I want it to end.
Not if I rip it up first.
Yeah.
I don't need
Oh,
it
dear
anymore. I've had enough. I'm retired.
I'm retired. I don't even like cricket anymore. I want to play golf. Well, look, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know it's late, obviously, where you are over there. So thank you very much for taking the time out to come and chat to us. Good luck with the rest of the tour. Good luck with all your Woodstock kit. For those people who don't know and those not watching it on YouTube, there will be some stuff going out across our social media feeds, or will be up by the time that this goes out on Thursday, of Mark in the nets in the UAE the other day, which is some incredible hitting. Those bats, those Woodstock bats, look phenomenal. People should really check them out. And on that, here's a note from our sponsors, Woodstock Cricket.
Looking for a new cricket equipment partner for yourself or your club can sometimes be tricky. With so many options to choose from, how do you make the right choice? When you want quality, value and service, there really is only one place to start. For more than a decade, Woodstock Cricket have been producing award-winning, high-performance cricket bats from their Shropshire workshop. Matched with their classy soft goods, luggage and accessories, Woodstock Cricket really do tick all the boxes. Get in touch with Woodstock Cricket and find out why many loyal clubs, players and international customers can't be wrong at info@woodstockcricket.co.uk.
So thank you so much to our partners Woodstock Cricket for their continued support. Hope you all enjoyed an insightful chat with Mr. Adair. I mean, one of the key things to note is that the Ritz in the UAE, the standard of toilet paper lower than certainly a 24-year-old international cricketer would expect.
Who spent some time living in Birmingham. So I mean,
loves his golf. Obviously, they're not allowed to play golf, which he'll be. We know he's disappointed about.
That went really well for England in South Africa, though, when they played golf, didn't it?
Yeah, 8 times or whatever it was. But obviously, look, some really cool things to come out of that. 3 that we've decided that we want to kind of really concentrate on. I think that let's start off with the improving nature of associate nation cricket. I touched on it in the sense that, we kind of don't see a lot of cricket, Irish cricket, but we obviously hear about it because there's quite a strong link with the ECB, or so we thought, which we'll come on to in a minute. But the fact that the UAE, that 2 lads got hundreds to then win that first game for them against Ireland, you would see as Ireland and the Netherlands maybe as the biggest of the associate nations. But it sounds like the rest of these teams are really starting to catch up now, playing in T10 tournaments and other franchise cricket.
Yeah, I mean, Eugene might be able to tell a bit more, having played where, obviously he played international cricket, so that might be something. But I can remember when I was playing the level where I was playing, so we had some lads come over. It was just after Bangladesh had come in as a full nation. We had a couple of Bangladeshi lads, a couple of Danish lads, a couple of Scottish lads on the staff, or a Scottish lad on the staff that signed for Middlesex, and obviously I played with the Irish lads. So it is obviously improving. You look at the likes of Rashid Khan, Mohammed Nabi from Afghanistan.
Zazai.
Yeah. He's just signed it with a new back company, hasn't he?
TBC.
Oh, okay. Getting money on that, lads. So you obviously look at them and they are improving. They are improving. I wouldn't have thought, listening to that the UAE would stand a chance of beating Ireland. But like Mark said, it's a young Ireland side. No Porterfield, no Wilson. Some of the more senior members have gone out now, so Irish cricket's going through a bit of a transition. But it's interesting. My only disappointment with the Associate Nations is the fact that cricket, like we discussed with Mark, is the fact that the World Cup is getting smaller. It's the only sport in the world where they're bringing less teams into it, and I can't understand it for the life of me. Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they've earned the right to be there or to be the top of the associates, like, let 2 or 4 of them have a go. Like, let them pit themselves against the best in the world.
It's the only way you're going to get better. I mean, that's the one thing it was interesting listening to Mark say, that they haven't played since, in a year or something. They haven't played international cricket in a year, where the UAE have got that, they've had the T10 and they've had all of the different experience. So they've come into the tournament, with a fair amount of cricket under their belts, where Ireland have come in cold. And I suppose that's the sort of negative that you'll find with these associate nations. And in actual fact, it's worldwide. Every associate nation will have this issue, is that just don't get enough game time. So, removing them from the World Cup and removing that exposure, I don't think it's going to be very good for them. Less cricket is not a good thing in my opinion for those guys, and they need to try and find more cricket for them to be playing. Saying that, they're trying at the moment. I get the UAE playing Ireland and then Afghan. But I mean, whenever I think of UAE cricket, I always remember the 1996 World Cup with Alan Donald bowling a bouncer to that guy that was wearing the floppy hat, and he absolutely pinned him on his head.
Oh, did he?
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
well, in a really horrible way.
Yeah.
You used to be a quick bowler by any chance? Do him! Kill him! Just someone shouting "scon him" from the sidelines, and Robbo just charging in. 60-year-old bloke in a floppy, in a floppy, not with a floppy.
I'm not that good looking.
But that, I get, leads us perfectly onto the next thing that we want to talk about. So that kind of historically strong relationship between the ECB and Cricket Ireland. We talked there, or you mentioned there, about the fact it's not going to give these guys, it's no good for associate nation cricket, the fact that they're left to their own devices to organise their own tours, whatever. They don't get the opportunity to play against the big teams. A lot of the Irish lads of old, Kevin O'Brien, Paul Sterling, Andrew Barbernie, to name but a few, Porterfield, Joyce, etc., have had the opportunity to come over and play county cricket, some of them very, very successfully. Tim Merter, etc., etc.
I think that's a bit of a different one because he's about as Irish as me.
Well, no, he plays for Ireland, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I don't think he came over. I think they made the most of
right,
it.
Fine, but he's an Irish cricketer, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
played
yeah,
cricket, first class cricket. So what I can't get my head around, and maybe we can ask James Taylor about this when he comes on, or if he comes on. What has changed in that relationship in order to, because now they either have to qualify as overseas or they cannot play in the first class system.
Is it not Brexit, or have I got something completely wrong?
No, that's Colpax. That's Colpax.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't 100% know what the reasoning is.
The reasoning is they've obtained.
The test status, aren't they?
They've got international status or tier 1 international status. So now it can't happen. Same as for me. And obviously it's a difficult one because the Irish Cricket Board will want the best Irish players playing in the Irish Cricket League because that's and if they can get overseas players going to them for that is a way that Irish cricket will improve. However, at the minute, is there a way, and it's going to have to be done by the ICC and it's going to have to be done across South Africa, like you think of the strong domestic competitions that there are in the world, whether that be the Indian, Pakistani domestic league or Australian, South Africa or England, basically. You're looking at 6 nations, aren't you, really, with that strong domestic structure. Is there a way that the ICC can introduce, I mean, Australia barely have any overseas players anyway, so is there a way that the ECB can maybe say, right, okay, so they're allowed 2 pros, they're allowed 1 pro
and an associate nations player,
and then an associate nation. So they write it in that it is someone from Afghanistan, Ireland, Holland, Scotland. Well, not Scotland, obviously, because they kind of don't work quite the same way. But is there a way that can come about?
Yeah.
And are the ECB ever going to do that? Which is why I mean it's got to come from the ICC that they make it so. I mean, whoever signs Rashid Khan is going to be absolutely in like flint.
Well, he's played at Sussex for a few years now, hasn't he?
In the T20 stuff, yeah. But if he's then not an overseas, he's overseas. Like, is there a way that something like that can happen to build world cricket for the greater good of world cricket?
Yeah.
Where Mark Adair going and being the associate overseas for Queensland.
Yeah.
Is that going to be plausible? Is that going to be something that would work? And is that then going to develop world cricket?
Well, I think that my instant reaction to that is, as good as market, we all know how good the Australian state cricket system is.
It was using an example.
No, and I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, even if it's not necessarily, look, if they're going to want to play their strongest 11 players at any given point.
Yeah.
Now, if Mark or anybody else is good enough to get into, let's say, the Queensland State 11, great. But I think there should also be something, whereas if they're just there, if they go as part of the squad, and it's then 6 months of them playing cricket when otherwise they'd just be sat at home in the pants playing on the Xbox and doing a bit of training, that will also be good for them. So maybe like, I don't know, it's something to do with wages and who has to fulfil that. But if they're fully contracted if Mark's a contracted player by Cricket Ireland, which he is, they will pay him all year round. So, Queensland or whoever, or the ICC cover costs. The way that we're going to improve the global game is by letting Mark go to Queensland and training with them, and he's going to improve that way. He will then be able to improve and help players when he goes back to Ireland, and the same with all these other associate nations. I think there could be much more done.
Yeah, the other thing you've got to factor in is schedules. Like Ireland is now a fully fledged international board member, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What is their fixture list? Because they're in a weird position at the minute, where the likes of Zimbabwe almost are as well. You've got Zimbabwe, you've got Ireland, you've got Afghanistan, where they're kind of being rotated into play some of the big lads, whatever terms you want to call them, the top 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But they're also having to fulfil that like bridge going
between
against
the big lads
UAE
and the associate nations.
And playing in those associate nation tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, because we've nothing against Ireland or Afghanistan at the minute. Afghanistan against Australia at the MCG ain't going to sell many tickets.
No.
So they're not going to be able to have that. And to be fair, someone like New Zealand have gone for this for a long time. New Zealand are number one test team in the world and don't play a 5-match series.
Mm.
There's only 3 teams in the world now that play 5-match series.
Yeah. Which is silly. Look, the three of us will never be in charge of the ICC, and we'd probably make as bad a job of it as the current ones do if we were. But I do. It's weird, isn't it, when you talk about stuff like that? And I think England have got to win every single test with here and in India, Sri Lanka and in India, and maybe through our summer to have a chance of getting to the World Test Championship final at Lords in the summer.
Yeah, but they haven't won enough, have they? They got beat by the West Indies. They got a draw against Pakistan. Yes, it was a rain draw and whatever. So then, at the end of the day, if you lose points, if you.
Yeah. But yeah,
and
anyway,
they played twice as many games. But anyway,
so yeah, lots to be discussed there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. I'd love to see the ECB start to support Cricket Ireland and maybe Cricket Scotland a little bit more, if that chance was to present itself. I'm sure that there are reasons why the current situation is the current situation, and we're not party to that information, so we're kind of hypothesising a little. Right. So talking of Lords, gents, or talking of wickets. Huge. I know you wanted to talk about this, like the grass side of things. Obviously, we saw Kane Williamson just win tosses and bat in the recent series against Pakistan. We talked to Mark Adair a little bit of this. I think we were offline by the time we were discussing this, but he said it's the moisture content. So ours is very much live grass, but in New Zealand, for example, it looks green, but there's so much less moisture in it that actually, those decisions by Kane Williamson to just go, we'll have a bat, aren't as unusual as maybe we would think they would be.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting listening to him to talk about it afterwards, because when you look at it, it looks green, and I mean, it's got to be the greenest dead grass I've ever seen. It's one of those where you look at it and you go, I've seen greener pitches in that in the UK, but it hasn't done. It's played really well. Both bat and ball. It's been very lucrative, and it was interesting. Our groundsman at Twickenham, I was talking to him, and he said that what they actually do in New Zealand sometimes is paint the grass brown, just to make sure that people's perception is so that it looks a little bit better. Yeah. Wow. So Nigel Gordon, our groundsman, it was crazy, the stuff. I mean, he's gotten really into growing grass for the pitch, that is. For no other recreational use.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, he's really embraced his role as the groundsman. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy just to understand about the different types of levels of grass and how long it takes and all of that sort of stuff. And it's sort of made me think a little bit about it. And yeah, I mean, talking to Mark about how the Lord's pitch looked versus how the New Zealand pitch looked, it was just they looked very similar, but as you said, the moisture content between England and New Zealand is probably different. I didn't expect that, but yeah, it was a nice conversation to have afterwards.
The closest thing I can think, we spoke about this before, is when you play golf and you go and play at different parts of the world, and you go and play. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have travelled around and done a bit and play cricket abroad and play golf abroad. But the grass is different, there's no doubt, and it grows differently and its root structure is different. So it might just be the fact that if you get green grass in the UK with the makeup of grass, it means more moisture within the roots, which therefore means more moisture in the soil.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's going to go around, as opposed to, I mean, I know, for example, the grass that they grow in Australia, whereas we cover the entire surface that you're covering with grass, they put a patch in the middle and it grows out.
Yeah.
Because the root structure is a lot more shallow, and the water tends to be, if there is water, is on the surface, whereas in the UK, water goes down.
Yeah.
So it's just, it might be, I mean, horticulturalists, we are not, but is that even the right word?
Yes, you've absolutely nailed it. My look
you're
of
both
shock
looking at me
that
then
you've
like,
gotten it right.
You're either looking at me like, oh my God, you've got that right, or what are you on about, dickhead? But no, but it is, like you say, I mean, to be fair, Kane Williamson might also be just thinking, I want to bat because I'm going to get 1 million runs.
Well, that was my next point.
So
there's been that discussion point, hasn't there, for a while, of Steve Smith, Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, Joe Root's kind of dropped out of it over the last kind of 18 months or so. But
Barbara
there can
Zam's
now
coming to it
be
as well, hasn't he?
absolutely no doubt about it. He's not as flashy. He's not as awkward as Smith. He's not as flashy as Kohli. But Christ, I mean, the way he plays the ball so late. I was watching some analysis of him. And, he gets nicked off quite a lot, but he plays with such soft hands that you see, it bounces 2 yards before the slips, and he's just really mastered that way of kind of,
because of that grass in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, fair play to Kane Williamson. I mean, he's a quiet soul by the sounds of things. Doesn't, you don't really never read anything about him, scuffing Rishabh Pant's markup. That's for sure. But
that's because they were playing someone else.
Because they were playing Pakistan, obviously. But he seems like a good bloke. Works hard, and fair play to him. I think he's one of the good guys of cricket. And
like I say, Kiwis are the nicest people you'll meet, aren't they? Probably nicer than Australia. I've relegated South Africa fast on this.
I know. South Africa's just gone down there.
Yeah. South Africa's.
Before we finish, lads, we've had some. We kind of talked about this very, very briefly at the end of the last podcast, and we said there's some exciting news to come in 2021. I feel that we can now confirm those two pieces of news for 2021 with the first podcast in 2021. We are proud to announce the first ever Slogging It Golf Day that will be taking place at the Forest of Arden on Thursday, the 1st of July. Very, very exciting news. The three of us have been putting an incredible amount of work into making this happen, all in association with the Lord's Taverners. There will be celebrities and pro cricketers. We will be running a live Slogging It Q&A with some of those legends after the dinner. So it'll be a breakfast, 18 holes of shotgun golf, shotgun start golf. There's going to be loads of prizes, loads of games on the tees.
Shotgun golf?
Holes, shotgun golf sounds like you don't want to get involved in that.
Is that like golf in the Second World War?
But it's just going to be an amazing day, all in support of the Lord's Taverners. There's so much planned for it, so we will be releasing more information about that. But if you do love golf and you'd be keen to hear more about that and get involved, then drop us an email, info@sloggingit.co.uk, and we will respond with more information. The other thing that we're very, very proud to announce is the formation of the Slogging It 11. Well, I know. So that'll be us three and some good cricketers.
10 others.
8 others. Good maths. Quick maths.
No, because we're
lucky enough to. So some of the guys that have appeared on the podcast will get involved. Other guys that will in the future get involved with the podcast get involved. So aimed at raising money again for the tabs, but also trying to drive money into the clubs. We will come to. We'll bring a team to clubs, and we're really excited about that. So we're like a bit of a wandering side, but with the aim of raising money not only for the tabs as an amazing cause, but also your cricket club. So if that's something of interest, then again, info@sloggingit.co.uk. We'll probably limit it to maybe 3 or 4 games this year. So if you have any interest in that, then please get in touch and we will explain more about it. Gents, really, really glad to be back alongside you two as we embark on a new year. Some of the messages we've been getting from listeners over we share them between ourselves, don't we? The positive messages that people are coming to us with, saying that the help that they're getting just through listening to this, and the fact that we're talking about some pretty tough things, but not, that's not all the time. But people, it's really helping people across a number of different factors, which is, I know we all take great pride from that. So long may that continue. For now, though, I will say thank you to my two wonderful co-hosts. Firstly, Eugene, thanks again for this week, mate. Looking forward to the year.
Likewise. It's been really good, and thanks to Mark for coming on. It was great to chat to him.
And obviously, the one and only Simon Roberts.
Thanks, mate. Welcome back, Huge. Really good to have you back on. I'm glad you're okay. And like I say, thank you to Mark for the interview that we did last night. It was It was entertaining. It was good. It was nice.
Absolutely. Guys, don't forget YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are going to launch that. I'm not in charge of social media. Simon Roberts does that. That's my new nickname for you now, by the way, Simon Roberts.
Simon.
So, but we really want to know what you think about Steve Smith. Was he right? Was it okay? Or was it really shit? You know my opinion on it. You know these two morons are wrong. Back me up, otherwise I'll somehow block you from being able to listen to the podcast anymore. But no, in all seriousness, thanks so much. Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for joining us again this week.
We're three of them.
And we look forward to having you with us on Friday night for the Big Smoke Big Night In. Do not forget that. It's always great fun on Friday night.
We've got donuts coming as well. Got a new sponsor.
Brilliant. You look like you have. They look like they all got delivered to your house, kid. But on that note, for now, we shall see you anon. Take care.
Cheers, guys.